capitalists have one of the best careers.
Are you ready? Are you ready to escape the echo chamber? Are you ready to push past the propaganda? Are you ready to free your mind from manipulation? Then let's go. There's a lot going on. There is so much going on today. And I'm going to try to cover at least a couple of things today. But it's like how far this stuff goes. This Ryan Coogler story is mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. It's it's like an onion. You just start pulling back layers and layers, and it just gets more and more crazy. First off, Joe to go. How you doing today? Um, I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing great. I'm doing great now. Uh, going through this story is frustrating. It's like really frustrating. Rocket, Rocket Man, Rocky Matrix. How you doing? um, yeah, this story is so frustrating because like I'm going into this story and each step gets me more and more angrier. It's ridiculous. Question: anybody in the chat know anybody who's ever robbed a bank? Do you know somebody? Somebody you went to school with or something that wound up doing something crazy like that? Um, you know anybody? Because I know a guy. I know a guy that robbed a bank. Uh, I've been pretty good. I've been pretty good, and I'm trying to maintain. PJ, no, he okay. So PJ doesn't know. Not yet. That's a good one. Not yet. Okay, so Rocket Man. I previously worked with a guy that committed robbery. Yeah. Goals. I hear you, Joe. Yeah, I know a guy. And let me tell you the story about how this guy did what he did. This guy one day decides to go into the bank. So he just walks in calmly. He's not wearing a mask, no gun, doesn't have a disguise, nothing. He just goes into there, got a baseball cap and glasses, walks into the bank, goes up to the teller, slips her a note. Give me the money now. Put it in the bag. He's got a little plastic bag with him. Boom. Teller puts the money in the bag. He grabs the bag. He's out. In and out. Boom. He's not done. He goes to another bank. Goes to a different bank, different area. Hits another bank. Goes to another bank. 3 banks now. He's at 3 banks now, and he's boom. He's rolling. Gets to a fourth bank. Knocks it over. Easy. Gets to the fifth bank. Goes in. Same thing. No mask, no disguise, just the cap, and walks in, gives the teller the note, put the money. He has a small little plastic bag, put the money in the bag, puts it in the bag. He's gone. He's in and out in 30 seconds. 30 seconds in and out the bank. Boom. Smooth. Gets away. But doesn't get away for forever. He gets away at the moment. FBI investigates. They realize it's the same guy at all these banks. They eventually catch up to him, lock him up. So if you're not familiar with the Ryan Coogler case, he was arrested for passing a note. He was taken into custody by the police for a robbery, for bank robbery. Now, Ryan Coogler is a big time director, directed, Black Panther. Let me see. You got to see that right there. Black Panther directed Black Panther is in the process. Well, is in the process of directing Black Panther 2. Did a bunch of other movies. So why on earth is Ryan Coogler robbing a bank? Well, here's what happens. He goes into the bank, hands the teller a note. Before long, the cops respond. Good thing is the cops don't shoot anyone. They don't shoot anyone. Nobody gets hurt. Um, they make sure nobody else gets hurt. They cuff him up, take him out the bank, and there's just one small problem. Now, nobody gets shot. Ryan Coogler doesn't hurt anybody. Everybody's safe, except for one small problem. Ryan Coogler isn't robbing the bank. He's not robbing the bank. What did he do wrong that led them to this conclusion that he was robbing the bank? Like, as you start looking at this story, that's when you start to realize, like, what the hell? What the hell? Okay, Rocket Man. Rocket Man, me and him worked as security guards, ran into him later on, seemed fine. Shocked me when I found out he committed a robbery at a bank. Did he commit the robbery before you knew him? So you knew him. Okay. It sounds like you knew him after. So okay, because yeah, he was a security guard first, and then he robbed the bank. Okay, wow. And hey, I mean, you got to realize times are tough. Times are tough, and people will do things, especially these past couple of years. Past couple of years hit people really hard, and things aren't getting better just yet. But things ain't tough for Ryan Coogler. Things were not tough for Ryan Coogler. So, like, he was not in the position where he needed to rob a bank, and he didn't rob the bank. But what did he do wrong? Because that's the question. Okay, yeah. So if we take a look at right now what's happening with this, the recovery. Well, not even recovery. I guess it's kind of a recovery, but yeah, I know 2008, 2000, things were bad. Things were rough. A lot of people were feeling it, and yeah, I get it. I understand. I'm not advocating for it, but I understand why people get into a place where they feel, hey, I got no choice, and they do something. But the question we have to look at is, what did Kugler do wrong? Because there are people on social media saying that he messed up and he should have done some things differently. Um, I mean, even if you look at even at when we get into the video, there's cops and other people that will suggest that he did something wrong and he could have done things differently because this was a misunderstanding. And they're like, well, what should he have done to avoid this misunderstanding? Um, the pigs at it again, man. Hell, this ain't the first time they falsely accused a person of a crime they didn't commit. Listen, it's this particular case is so crazy because this isn't just a regular dude. This is not just a regular dude. Like if this happened to some regular dude, it's I'm not saying it's all right, but I'm saying if this happens to some regular dude, well, number one, we probably won't hear about it. It'll be something that'll be swept under the rug. But for this to happen to Ryan Coogler, who is a huge director, like this is crazy. This is crazy. Um. So okay, let me see. James, take into account the misjudgment of the staff. Now, this is an interesting take. Nah, she put a hit on him. Josh Bird. That's an interesting take. Like like you're, I don't know. It's like you saw. I'm listening to what happened and transpired, And that's a really interesting take. That's a really interesting take. I saw someone say he shouldn't have dressed like a robber. Well, see, this is the crazy thing. We're like, you know why people are wearing masks? Because the government is telling everybody to. The government's telling everybody, make sure you mask up. So people are masked up. And he just happens to be wearing shades because he's a celebrity. Like celebrities tend to, try to go incognito, not let everybody know who they are. So people aren't like, oh, yeah, there goes, oh, that's Ryan Coogler going into the bank. Like he's trying to be discreet and it makes sense. But they yeah, they call him. Some people saying he shouldn't have dressed like a robber, and yeah, there's a whole lot of takes. But what I wanted to do is take a look at some of the video because they've released the body cam, and the body cam is it tells you so much about this situation. It really tells you a lot about this situation. Um, like actually, of the body cam I've saw, so um, originally the only body cam I had seen was the originally the only body cam that I had seen was the one from the cops coming to arrest him. Then I kept digging. I found the body cam of the actual interaction outside the bank. But what I really wanted to see, and I don't think they've released it, but they need to release the body cam footage of the cops interviewing the bank staff. That's what needs to be released. Like above all else, that is like not releasing that is a problem because like we know he didn't rob the bank. We know that already. And so the question is, what were they told by staff? What were they told? That's what's the key. So, in fact, um, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the some of the body cam right now. Pull this up. Okay. No, that's not it. There we go. Um, okay. So let me hide this and play this. Hey, sir. Do me a favor, man. Come this way. Put your hand behind your back. Got it. Okay, this is echo, right? Yeah, let me start that over. Okay, I'm having some trouble getting this tape started, so let me just try to figure out how to fix this. I'll pull myself up first. As soon as I fix this video, we're gonna take a look at it. But it's what's crazy is, well, the good thing is he's safe. Well, he's alive. That's the good part. That's the real good thing about this. He didn't get because things could have went even worse, way worse. Things could have went way worse for him. So fortunately, he is alive. What the? But now, so the interesting thing is, like, when I watch this video, he's standing there. The cops, you see how quickly the cops pull out the gun, because like he's at the counter waiting. Cops just pull out the gun, and cops just pull out the gun, and now he's scared, as he should be, because he doesn't know what's going on. He's just here trying to um, he's just trying to do a withdrawal. But now the cops have him at gunpoint, and he doesn't know why. Come on. Okay, so let me look at um, COVID mandates still present in some states. I saw someone argue it isn't common sense for him to wear a mask. Yeah, like there's still so many states where they're either strongly recommending it or they're actually mandating it. And so for people to say he shouldn't be wearing a mask, like, this makes no sense. But the funny thing is, I remember when they first started saying, okay, everybody has to wear a mask, there were a lot of people that were, especially, young black men that were worried about, wait a minute, this could go real bad for us. Because now all of a sudden we're going to be wearing something over our face and people are going to be like, oh, we thought they were trying to do something. We thought they were trying to rob us. We thought they were trying to hurt us. And like now you get to a position where they're trying to use that against him. And it makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. Um, could have been worse. Could have been much worse. Bank robbers are never pictured to be. Yeah, yeah. Could have been so much worse. The lady told dispatch, "I don't know if he has a weapon or not." The that call, the 911 call, was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Um, and what the 911 call was so crazy that it has me wondering, because like somebody else made that point already, like, why did that really happen? But there's so many levels where you have to look at this and be like, things went wrong, because not only did the teller call the police, the manager told her to call the police. So like, if let's say this teller started, that was her first day on the job, she doesn't know what in the world she's doing. She has no clue. The manager, the other tellers, her manager, somebody there should have enough sense to be able to figure out that, wait a minute, like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? You're blowing something out of proportion. What does the note say? Because like, if you listen to the in fact, so one of the funny things, when they're handcuffing him and then escorting him outside of the bank, as they're escorting him outside of the bank, there's like I think the manager or something, some other employee, not a teller, but some higher up in the bank, who says, "Good job, officers. Good job. Good job. You arresting your customers. That's a good job. Arresting your customers for trying to take out their own money. That's a good job." Like, it is mind-boggling how many, just like, who thought that any of this made sense. It's mind-boggling. Um, yeah, I'm really really trying to get this tape going. Um, but when you get to, okay, so Josh, says bootlickers can't stop licking. It's like an addiction. It is really crazy. Some of the takes I've seen online. Um, some of these takes are like what are you watching? What what video did you watch? What 911 call did you hear? Like like do you have any familiarity with this case? Because for people to assume, to sit here after reading about this case and still come up to the conclusion that he should have been he should have been arrested is it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. It makes no sense whatsoever. And okay, I think the video is ready to play. It started. It stopped playing. It stopped acting up on me. So maybe this time, maybe this time we can get this done properly. Um, let's try it again. Share screen. Okay. And here we go. Hey, sir. Do me a favor, man. Come this way. Wait, yeah, man, you back. No, back. Got it. Now I'm going to stop it there for a second because, like I said, that's when he goes when he goes out there and you see that woman on the side and she's like, "Good job." Okay, wait. Did the sound stop working on the video or for me? Can you hear me now? Can you let me know if you can hear me? Um, but when you okay, yeah, no, I stopped the video for now. I'll get back to it because that's basically where the video where that portion ends. But the other video, the other body cam that they release is from the outside, and so like when you see and when I saw that, like I was really angry because of the things that happened. Like when you realize how much stupidity had to exist for this to go down. Um, but he remains calm. That's one of the things that's I don't know if I would have been able to remain calm. I'm in the bank trying to take out my money. And as we get more details, there's so much more reason for him to have been to him for him just have gone off. Like what the hell? Why are you here? Why are you here as in the cops? And why did y'all call the cops as in the bank staff? Like there's so many reasons for him to be just absolutely pissed off. Um, but when you take a look at Twitter, there's a bunch of people saying that yeah, this was his fault. That he did do something wrong, and so that uh, they were right to have locked him up. They were right to have arrested him. Um, yeah, and you're right, Josh. You're absolutely right because, but that's what I'm saying. Like that, the reaction of like why the I can't take out my own money, and the cops would have just opened fire. Yeah, the cops would have just opened fire, and it would have been just. It would have been yeah. It would have been really really bad, really bad. Um, but like that's why I like these takes on Twitter. Um, these takes on Twitter. Okay, so let me pull up this, and we're going to start with takes like this. In fact, let's just give it the whole screen. I think the people who are defending Coogler don't understand how bank robbery. This of all the stupid takes, this is a particularly stupid take. I'll tell you why in a moment. Well, because like I said about the dude, that story I told about the guy I know that robbed the bank, right? Yes, he used the note. Um, and so this take is writing the teller a note that's an automatic way to get the police called on you, ID or no ID. Okay, well, yeah, we're gonna get back to why this is just such a ridiculous take. Um, come on. Okay, so you've got so like somebody like this person right here. Um, well, they're saying that it's not. Well, since everybody in the bank was black, it doesn't have anything to do with race. And well, it just goes to show you that even just because somebody is black doesn't mean that they won't screw you over or just automatically assume the worst of you. And it took a lot of people to make some really bad assumptions. In some cases they were assumptions, but in some cases there may have been other things at play. That's not the normal. This is not the normal procedure when taking out that amount of cash. There are tax forms to fill out. Tellers don't have close to that amount of cash in a drawer. The normal process is to go to the bank officer and tell them you need over $10,000, not a teller. So now, number one, he gave her the note and told her, that's right. We haven't talked about specifically what the note said. Let's talk about what the note said. The note said, don't count the money out here. He specifically said, don't count the money out here. Count it in the back. I don't want you counting the money out here and have everybody looking at me. You know, count the money in the back. I'm trying to be discreet. That's what the note said. So, like this take um, that like yeah, it doesn't matter if she has the money in the back or not because he's already said in the note to count it in the back. And there are people that are going to some really extreme like logic is out the window. They're throwing logic out the window in order to justify uh in order to justify calling the cops on him and him be having the cops called on him. Yeah, look at this take. I worked for a bank and I was one of four black employees. I noticed in our training guides, all the models appearing suspicious were always portrayed by black people. It's in the training of the bank employees along with their own personal biases. I remember I worked in retail before and I started noticing a pattern. what they would do is they'd say, "Hey," and at certain moments they'd say, "Hey, um, that customer is suspicious. Watch them." Okay, but then I started noticing the pattern developing that every time they were like, "Oh, watch that guy," it was always a black guy. And I remember one time, young black guy comes in. Now there's already a white guy in the back of the store, right? A white customer, uh, and he's acting very suspicious. The young black guy comes in, and they're like, "Hey, watch him," and I'm like, "No, why? Why am I watching him?" Like, no, no, I think he's just like, what has he done? He hasn't done anything. I'm not watching him. I says, meanwhile, that white guy has bulges underneath his jacket. And they realize, oh, they were so caught up in that nonsense, this stereotyping, this profiling, that they missed somebody that was actually doing the crime. And quite frankly, just to put you up on game, some rings will use that strategy. Some theft rings will actually use that strategy intentionally. So some cases you'll have a ring where they will send in a black person, go in, and have all security have their eyes on that person. Meanwhile, and they usually use young white girls to actually do the boosting. The young white girls come in and just wipe the place clean because all of the attention is on the black dude. All the attention on the black dude, and then these young white girls come through and just make a killing and leave. And then after they're gone with whatever they need and whatever they can carry, then the black dude leaves. So like profiling, not only is it just it's not only is it bad for it just doesn't make any sense at all because it's really dumb as hell. But it's clear that in this case, this was not this was not about anything he had done. This there was like no legitimate purpose for stopping him. Um, I would use a note too. There are people always watching you. You can't take out that much money in cash, like that rapper died because he took money out normal. Yeah, there will be people out there like that are watching to see who takes out a lot of money. When you go to the ATM, you go to a bank, they see you go in, they're watching because they want to see what you come out with. Wells Fargo Wells Fargo still requires you to fill out a withdrawal form when you go inside. So the fact that there is a note is irrelevant for the most part. Exactly, because there's a couple of things we're going to talk about with this. In fact, he said something in there. Uh like he says, like I'm trying to get out my own money. But when you look at the countertop, there's something See, I don't know how it is everywhere else. I now know that's the way it is in Atlanta, where he was. But in New York City, like I went to the bank the other day. So I go to the bank, and in this case, I want to do a certified check, right? So I get a withdrawal form, write the information on. But here's what I have to do when I get up to the teller's window. I still have to take out my debit card, put my debit card into the machine, type in my PIN to open my account. Then I give them the slip and they can start, and if I'm doing a withdrawal, like if I'm doing a cash withdrawal, sometimes they'll ask for ID. Usually though, once you put in the PIN, they're not going to ask for ID because that's the point of putting in your debit card and then typing in your PIN. And guess what was in this bank? They had the machines with the debit cards and the pins. And he put his debit card in, he put his PIN number in, and gave her his ID. In addition to a note which said, I would like to withdraw $12,000 from my account. From my account. The note was the withdrawal form. Yes. He didn't just have some random piece of paper. He had the withdrawal slip, and on the back he wrote that information. I would like to take $12,000 out of my account. Please count it out in the back, so I because I want to be discreet. Like there's nothing at all about that is crazy, that is out of the ordinary. Tech lad, in my experience in retail, it was the white and Asian woman you had to watch carefully. Yeah, listen, if you start profiling, you've already lost because listen, a good crew will know. Oh, they're stopping every person that looks like this. So we're just going to send people that don't like this to get the job. We'll send people like this to distract you. That's the description you're looking for. Okay, now we'll send the real people that's actually going to do the boosting. They'll go in, wipe the place clean, and people are like, "Wow, we were watching it the whole time. How did we lose so much merchandise? Because you did some dumb stuff and you paid for it." Um, on On the 911 call, the teller makes it clear that him wearing black sunshades made her uncomfortable. Yeah, we got to get to the we're going to have to get to um the actual 911 call, cuz the 911 call, wow. Uh because but before see, here's the thing. ABL had his theory that that the bank handing in a note is an automatic sign that you need to be under suspicion, that you need to be um, that they need to be watching you. That's what, according to ABL, that's what it is, right? Okay. I know a guy that went to the penitentiary for robbing banks. Writing a teller a note like that is an automatic way to get the police called on you, ID or no ID. Here's the difference. Here's the thing that ABL isn't talking about. Well, number one, that whole thing about ID or no ID, that's not at all accurate, because I know that guy that robbed the bank. I know a couple other guys. And let me tell you something about those guys. Some of these guys use notes to rob banks. Some of them use guns. Some of them, claim that they had explosives on them. Some had masks, some had disguises. But guess what? None of them had. Guess what? None of those guys that robbed banks had. None of those guys that robbed banks had bank accounts in the bank they were robbing. None of those guys were trying to rob the bank while making a withdrawal from their own account. That's what none of them had. So his take that giving them his ID didn't matter is absolutely stupid. It's stupid as hell. And as you um intellectually intentionally dishonest. Yes. Like I don't know who he's trying to impress, but that makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no sense whatsoever that in the process of robbing this bank, that uh, Ryan Coogler puts his debit card in, enters his PIN number, gives them his ID, and is trying to rob it. Like he has an account there. But like I said, somebody else, Josh, I think it was Josh. Yeah, earlier you hit it on the head, because I started looking at this and like, wait a minute. I think this was not just stupidity. Um, he lives in a different world until reality hits him on the face. So yeah, it makes no sense. I understand why would Ryan do that, because he doesn't want folks to know out loud he's withdrawing 12K. Yeah, yeah. And when we get to the body cam footage outside the bank, because like the cops, there's more footage. Um, Crazy to think Ryan didn't steal from his own bank account. Like, yes, how is he robbing his own bank account like that? Yeah, yeah. We gotta look. We gotta listen to the 911 call. Let me pull up the 911 call. Um, I gotta pull up the 911 call. Um, it's right over here. Okay.
An and so I just told my manager I didn't feel comfortable. So he told me to call police while he, I guess, stalls.
What's on the note, ma'am?
It just says I want to withdraw $12,000. Just be discreet.
Is this an actual customer, or are they trying to rob the bank?
They had a debit card and he inserted it. He gave me a California ID, but I was like, okay. I was like, how do you want the cash back? And he's like, just look at the note.
And he had no weapons, correct?
Not that I know of. He just has on black sunshades and a black hat.
Is he a black male, white male?
He's a black male. And every time I ask him like a question, he's like, look at the note.
So, okay.
But he inserted his debit card, and then I asked for his ID. He handed me his ID as a California ID. But I didn't look at his name because I'm just like so shook up. Like, I don't know what he's trying to do. So I just told him, give me one moment. I have to get my manager.
Okay, so none of his information was even verified. Okay. He might just want to be discreet, but I have police en route.
Yeah, I mean, he might. It just seemed weird.
That's like, there's no. He put his card in, entered his PIN number, gave her his ID. Like, how stupid is this? How stupid is she? Like that, like the whole day. Yeah, I feel horrible for laughing at this. She's pointing out he had all the right. Yes, yes, he did everything. Everything he's supposed to do if he's making a withdrawal. He's making and that's the crazy thing. And she says, "What did the note say?" That's what's crazy. The teller says, "What did the note say?" Now, and we're going to get to something that okay. So she says, "What does the note say?" She says, "Oh, he said he's trying to make a withdrawal of $12,000." That's why the listen. That's why she then says, "Wait a minute, is he a customer?" Because he said he's making a withdrawal. Customers do that. They come into a bank to make withdrawals. That's not robbery. That's what people do. One of the things people do in a bank. And yet, and yet, this woman is like, "Oh no, well, he told me to read." Yes, read the note. At no point did she. But there's two things I really want to know. I want to know, what did dispatch tell the officers on their way there? And what did the staff say? Because even as stupid as this woman is, and just clearly, utterly, she sounds like a complete and utter idiot, a complete idiot. What were the managers thinking? What when she went to the manager and says, "Oh yeah, he just told me to read the note." Well, what does the note say? Like, that's what's really getting me. Why didn't the managers And then the question is, what did she tell the managers? That's another question. But nonetheless, if he put his card in, if they knew all of this information, if they knew that he put his card in, they knew that he put his PIN number in, and he gave her his ID. What's the problem? What's the problem? She sounded like she talking to her boyfriend the way she talked to dispatch. She don't sound at yeah, Captain Hart. Listen, when you listen to yeah, yeah, bank teller was tripping. The man handed you his ID and his debit card. Like, how unsuspicious does the man have to be to not mention yeah, ID, PIN number, his PIN number. Like, the account doesn't open until you put in your PIN. You put in your card, you put in your PIN number. Now your account is activated. Now they can actually see if you have the money that you're trying to withdraw. Now they can see your information there. So all of the information she needs is on the screen in front of her. And if she wants to be sure, because it's a large amount, she asked for his ID. He gave her his ID. But that wasn't enough. She still chose to do the dumbest thing imaginable and call the police on him, claiming it's a bank robbery. She literally told the dispatcher all of these things he did, which clearly indicate he's a customer, but she decided to ignore them because he told me to read the note. Then read the I had to read the note. Read the damn note. Go get the money from his account. But notice this. When she told the dispatcher, when she told the 911 operator, oh, he says he's making a $12,000. He said he wanted to withdraw $12,000. She left out from my account. From my account. That's one of the things he said that he wrote in the note, from my account, and she left that out. Interesting. Interesting. Um, this annoys me because this happened to me at my work. Like, the lady saw my uniform and I gave ID, and she still didn't believe me and called her boss to confirm my identity. Yeah, it's aggravating as hell when people just do, like, when you have stupid people in positions that, like, either they don't know their job, like, just the utter incompetence, sheer incompetence of people that just don't know how to do basic tasks and create complicated situations. In some cases, it's just a nuisance, but in this case, it could have gotten him killed. It could have gotten him killed. And keep in mind, though, debit cards don't have a PIN on the card. Right. Right. That's not the little 3-digit thing. It's a separate PIN you have to put in. It's your personal identification number. That's it. Yeah. He put it, like, as soon as he input the PIN, that's when the thing gets his account gets opened. So she knew it was his account. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't understand that chat. But yeah, she knew it was his account. And the managers, like, what why did they do their due diligence? Like, the manager that tells her, "Oh yes, call the cops." What? That really gets to me. Like, um in fact, so I have more footage. Let me pull it up. Let me pull up the other footage. Um okay. and he gets it. He says Marvel Productions. He says Marvel Productions. The cop hears Marvel Productions. Like no, he said Marvel. Marvel Productions. It's the studio. It's the studio. It's the studio vehicle he's in. He's one of the studio drivers, and he's in the studio vehicle. And the cop's like, "Oh, Marvel." No, he said Marvel. Marvel. Like he should have emphasized that, but I don't think like he was kind of like nervous because he didn't know what was going on. But he should have emphasized no Marvel Productions. Marvel. The crazy thing is, right now we're about to catch up to the point where he's coming out. So where the up until now, everything that's happening, that's what we saw before of the cops. There are two cops already inside, and the two cops are bringing him out now. And then now that the driver realizes that's who's because the driver thinks, oh man, like Ryan's in trouble because the driver thinks if there's a robbery happening in the bank right now, Ryan's in the bank. Like Ryan's in trouble. And then he sees them bring out Ryan in handcuffs, and like that's what's yeah. So yeah, let's get. Hold on, I gotta fix this. The video's going out on me again. Okay. So maybe that should get it right. I He can't believe it right now. He can't believe it because he's like, wait a minute, no, no, that's that's the director. That's the you you've got to be mistaken. And they're like, no, no, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like this guy's not robbing the bank. The guy's and he's trying to tell him, but he's like, no, does it matter? And so there was like so much. There was so much stupid stuff happening at this that it blows the mind because not, it took more than one person for this to get to where it got. It took more than one person being an idiot. It took multiple levels of stupidity, incompetence, and sheer idiocy for it to get to where it got. For him to be wind up in cuffs, for him to wind up in cuffs, and for then what happens next to even the driver and his this other woman. And what's ultimately going to happen is they're going to pull the driver out. They're going to put the driver in. Yeah, he's going to go get his car. He's going to put the driver in the back seat. So basically, like the driver's getting arrested too, and he's like, "What the hell? What's going on? This makes no sense." And he tried to tell him. He tried to tell him, like, "Listen, you've got this wrong." But they just, "Oh no, no, it this is how it's going down. It's a bank robbery." And now, and now, what they were saying was, the only question is, we know he was robbing the bank. The only question is whether you're the getaway driver, whether you're in on it. That's what they're claiming. Like they're claiming that that the driver and the lady are in on it. Like it's crazy how much how much stupidity you had operating for it to for all of these things. Let me see. Let me pull this back up. Okay. They also pull the older lady out the car. Like it's really crazy. All this, and like you said, yeah. If not at least the police, there should be a lawsuit filed against the bank. Absolutely, absolutely. None of this is quick. None of this is short. This happens over the course of a very long period of time. It's like 40 minutes this is happening. Like there's no way in hell it should have taken that long for them to figure out, oh, like I said, even if this teller was the only idiot, the manager should have had enough sense to say, wait a minute, what do you he gave you his ID? When do bank robbers give you their ID? And when are they trying to steal money out of their own accounts? Um, it was crazy. There was, but the interesting thing is the cops, they just ran with it. They just ignored all logic and just kept going as if there was no. Remember, the dispatcher is already asking, wait a minute, are you sure this situation is what you think it is? The question is, did the dispatcher relay that information to the cops? The dispatcher sounds like the smartest person out of the bank and the cops, like the smartest person in that situation. Of course, then you've got Coogler and his team. They're very smart, and they're just trying to make sure they live through the day because they can clearly see that these like brains intelligence is not in sufficient supply, so they have to think for the cops and for everybody else, if they want to get out the situation safely. uh, but now I want to get back to that point because Josh hit it at the very beginning. um, at the very beginning, that point, because yeah, she's stupid, right? But that point she made about, oh, well, I would ask him and he just told me to read the note. You felt in your feelings, because this is what it seems like. It seems like she was in her feelings that he wasn't talking to her and he just told her read the note. He told her just read the note, and she got in her feelings behind that. She wanted to get angry and she's like, okay, I'll fix you. Which is why he hasn't said yet that the situation was dealt to his satisfaction. At the very least, it has to start with her fire this idiot. Fire this idiot. And a lot of times there's certain cases where people make mistakes in the service industry. I get it. This was beyond, and even if this was a mistake, the level of stupidity it takes to make this kind of mistake, like, no, if you're that stupid that you can't follow simple instructions, he gives you his ID, he's put his debit card, his PIN number, and you don't realize he's making a withdrawal from his account. Like, she's too stupid to work. Like, she's too stupid. Like, she's too stupid to have a job. Like, she's a hazard to everybody around her. She is a hazard to herself and everybody in her vicinity. If it's just stupidity. But something tells me the way she's capping, the way she's characterizing it, and the way she left out that crucial detail when she's talking to the dispatcher. He wants to make a withdrawal for $12,000. She left out from my account. She did this on purpose. That's what I think. I think she did this on purpose. And like, yeah. But the crazy part is everybody else. Everybody else that then does no thinking, that puts no brain power into, oh, wait, he gave you his ID? When do bank robbers give you their ID? When do they do that? Nobody else could seem to think, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And he's telling you, I'm trying to withdraw money from my account. But this case, it gets down to something that, I mean, because I don't know if you know it. Like, if you look at the video, you'll see that the cops that came for him, they were black. The manager, it looked like the manager that was on the side, like she was black too. The teller, from what they're saying, she was also black. So the teller who did this was black. It goes to tell you, like, with people talk about representation, just because you have representation doesn't mean you have somebody that's actually going to be uh, in on point. That's actually going to be not going to be doing stupid stuff. That's not going to be trying to sabotage other people. Because like this was sabotage. This was sabotage and stupidity all rolled into one. And fortunately, he's still alive. And that's good news. It's good news that he's alive. But that story, besides that story, there's a story that I want to hit before we wrap up. Not too long ago. In fact, do I have that tweet? Because there's a tweet that Van Lathan had put out. Van Lathan, if you don't know, from TMZ. Well, he was from TMZ. He wound up leaving TMZ because he got into a dispute with somebody or with a coworker. But he would put out a tweet not too long ago talking about the N-word and saying, do you think that the N-word, somebody calling you the N-word, is grounds for violence? And a lot of people responded like, oh yeah, somebody calling me the N-word, it's on. And I responded at that time, I was like, listen, I don't like the N-word. I'm not going to be happy with somebody calling me the N-word, but I have to be aware of what the law says, what the law allows, and not put myself in a position that's going to be worse off for somebody. Because like literally somebody could be doing that to set you up. Somebody could literally just be like, okay, I'm gonna take this butt whooping just to trip you up, just to take you off your square. And if you've got stuff on the ball, like if you're a celebrity, if you've got money, they could do that just so that you go upside the head and boom. Oh, pain, anguish. Oh, my neck. I don't think I'll be the same. I'm traumatized. I'm suing for $5 million. Like people can literally just set you up, especially if you're somebody famous. But in this case, you had it wasn't a famous guy. It was this young guy at what is it? Was it Dunkin' Donuts? Dunkin' Donuts. The young guy at Dunkin' Donuts, working there. But now, once again, he still has something to lose. His job. He's got his job, and as you can see from the situation, he a lot more was at risk. So this old guy comes up to the window, disrespectful, and uses the N-word a couple of times. He comes from behind the counter and says, hey, stop using that word. Don't call me that. The guy says, okay, I'm going to call you it again. Calls him the N-word again. He punches the guy. Guy falls back, hits his head on the ground, dies. And like you never know when you could just be one, just punch somebody in the mouth just one time, you'd be like, that's all you intend to do. And they can fall get hit their head, die. Like that's why it's so critical not to just fly off the handle, not to be not to allow somebody to take you off your square because there's so much worse could happen. And now, once like I remember when that story first came out, I was like, man, this is a young guy, like 27 years old. Now you got this dead dude, dead racist, and now this young guy is looking at losing his life. Like how many years he's at risk of losing behind this piece of garbage that's on the floor. He could lose everything. The good news is the verdict came back. Well, not even a verdict. The government reached a plea deal with him, and he was sentenced to 2 years of house arrest. 2 years of house arrest. I had no idea. Like, I was like, wow, he got so lucky. Seriously. Because they really could have done him dirty. But he got 2 years house arrest. So like he still has his life. It's not like his life. He didn't lose his life behind this. He didn't like he still has his future ahead of him. And now he can stay out. I mean, he probably lost the job, but he can go get another job. Just has to, and being on house arrest could be annoying, but it's better than prison. It's better than prison. So that's why, like, I'm really glad that his story didn't turn out way worse for him than it looked like it was going to turn out. But there were some interesting reactions to the verdict. Not even the verdict, to his sentence. There were a lot of people that felt some type of way about him getting that sentence, and so they decided to show up on Twitter, and they were like, so like there was all kinds of comments. Let me look at these lines. If I'm being called the N-word, I'm just recording and letting the internet sort it out. Right, like because like I'm telling you, there are literally people out there who are trying to set you up, and they can have like one of several different aims in setting you up. There's some people who try and set you up so that you can go off, hurt them, they could get you locked up, or try to sue you or something like that. Like especially if you've got money, if you're a public figure or something like that, don't go for the nonsense. Don't let these people take you out of your square and put you in a position where you can lose everything. But let me see I'm glad how that turned out. Yeah. But there's another thing they could be doing. And this is what people like. This is what I'm telling. Stop underestimating these racists. Seriously. I mean this truthfully. Stop underestimating these racists, because some of them will say something like that to you to get you to react, and they are armed. They've got a strap on them. They've got a knife. They've got something on them. And as soon as you react, their whole plan is to get you to react so that they can defend themselves. Oh, I feared for my safety. Like, I don't know if you remember the guy that was screaming at the woman. White guy was screaming at this woman outside. Her boyfriend had just like went inside the store. So the boyfriend and the girlfriend are black. The white guy is screaming at the black lady. The boyfriend comes out, walks up to him like, "Hey, what are you screaming at my woman?" and pushes him. Guy pulls out his gun, shoots him dead. Like, there's clowns out there that are actually operating like they're trying to provoke situations so that they can kill a black person and walk away scot free. But they'll do it. It was a gas station. Gas station. Okay, yeah. Um, and then he punched him once and got. Yeah, it's like, don't let somebody take you off your square. Like, there's these, they've got these racists that are actually planning to do something. So they will go there to create a confrontation just to get you off your square, just to get you to react, and that then they can defend themselves. Oh, I felt fighting for my safety. He attacked me. Because that's the story they're going to tell. They're going to say that for no reason whatsoever, that you attack them, and if there's any cameras around or whatever, then it'll see you coming after them, and they had to. Oh, I had to pull out my gun to defend myself. Don't, like, that's why, like I said, we have to be careful. We have to be more careful, because there are people who have, like, they're up to no good. Plain and simple. Like, they're up to no good. Um, okay, so yeah, we got a couple of these pictures. So yeah, Dunkin' Donuts worker gets 2 years house arrest after pleading guilty to killing a 77-year-old. Prosecutors say, okay, so that's the other thing. So now, before let's get to some of these, because there's a lot of. It was interesting seeing all these people that came to the defense. Okay, so Jack Posobiec, who's some right-wing liar, and he's a liar because he says murder. It was not murder, and the government didn't convict him of murder. The government didn't treat it like murder. It wasn't murder. So Florida Duncan, but his claim, his lie, the lie he tells, is that the Florida Duncan employee who murdered customer over a racial slur sentenced to house arrest. He didn't murder him. It was, I think originally he was charged with like involuntary manslaughter. Um, so okay, let me see. There's a bunch of other takes. I think the sentence is 200 hours. And there are some people who didn't even know what the hell was going on, because it's like some people who are thinking that the sentence went to the person that said the slur. Like, read the article. Young man made a mistake. Okay, so that's not the one. Um, okay, so now he's like, this guy, Jay Glanton. Prosecutors considered the totality of circumstances, which included Pujol's lack of criminal history, his youth, and he says he's 27, old enough to be ending a second tour in the military, or to have 9 years experience at an auto assembly plant with 400, with a 401k. How's that youth? He's not the only person that came to the defense. This guy says, "Oh, that's the Hillsbury state attorney for you. County assistant state attorney once told me, if you're gonna commit a crime, do it in Tampa and not St. Pete." Okay, now look at this. Then the victim's family should seek their own justice, whatever that means. This is what this person tweets. And it's like, it's amazing how all of these scumbags came out to defend this dude. Because we're going to talk more about this dude, because, and one of the reasons why the government says, you know what? Yeah, we're not gonna go hard for this. That 77-year-old had a criminal history. No one dug into that for him to defend his actions like the right did Rittenhouse victims. I think that should be pointed out. Exactly. He had a criminal history. Here it goes. Wait a minute, I missed it. Where's Ford's? Okay. Not making any argument as to what the proper case outcome should be, but some additional info. The man killed with a single punch to the jaw was a convicted pedophile with victims under the age of 15. Convicted pedophile. But this is the dude that a whole bunch of these scumbags are coming out to defend. And I'm watching, I'm looking through the thread. I'm looking as all of these people come running to his defense, caping for him. I'm like, wow, you're really just trying to, like, y'all will defend anybody just as long as they're racist. Just as long as they're racist, they're good with you. Doesn't matter what else they do. They're racist, they're okay in your book. Like that's what all these people that came running to the defense of this scumbag were doing. And it's crazy. Excuse me. They all just wanted to. Yes, absolutely a horrible person. Um, yeah, the only thing they knew about him was that he used the N word, and that was enough for them to come to his defense. Like that tells you something. That tells you something about a bunch of these people. A bunch of these people out there. That's all. That's all they needed to know. That's all they needed to know. That was enough for them to say, you know what? He's all kind of people. But like I said, like it's important to be on our to not let people take us off our square, because there are people out there that will intentionally use the word just to get a reaction, and they have a plan, whether they're trying to set us up to get locked up, you know, lawsuits, or whether they're armed. So like it's essential to be on point, and to like uh not to let these people just. It's a horrible word. I hate the word. But there's so much other things that can happen. There's so much things can get so much worse. And just fortunately, in this case, it's so fortunate, so good, such a good thing that in this case, this kid only got 2 years house arrest. I really thought he was done for. And I'm so glad that, okay, house arrest, boom, does his 2 years of house arrest. He can continue to live his life. Like even right now, he can go get a job, can still, take care of himself, take care of his family. Good. Like that was a real, because there's no guarantee in the next situation where this happens that you're going to be dealing with uh prosecutors that aren't going to try to, like, prosecutors that themselves wouldn't be like, well, yeah, they like using the word themselves, and like, okay, yeah, we're going to make sure you rot in prison. um they say Rittenhouse killed, so it's good, but ain't good here. Interesting. Yeah, the difference is what Kyle did was lawful, this was unlawful. It's how Kyle's case worked out. Yeah, I mean, this was such a fortunate move, a fortunate resolution for that kid, for Pujols. Because yeah, I was worried when I first heard that case. I was like, oh man, like I was like, man, he's really, because the dude was like, this dude was a piece of garbage, and that's one of the things, one of the things to think about. Is it worth? Is that person, like, don't even think about the word or the disrespect. Think about, is that person worth you losing your freedom? Is that person worth you losing your life for something? That's like it, and it's not. It's easier said than done, but that's the way we got to at least start to look at it, to try to, that if God forbid you're in that situation, you don't just fly off the handle, and you can handle it in a way where you can get out the situation without getting hurt yourself in or you know getting worse than just disrespect. Oh boy. I mean, yeah. So I mean, this, like I said, I'm glad that turned out that way, and I'm looking for some more information. I'm expecting more information to come out with the Ryan Coogler situation. Like, I'm going to keep looking for to see if they release the body cameras of the interviews between the police and the bank staff, because that's critical. What dispatch told the police and the bank staff told the police. Those are things that are going to be real critical. And yeah, let me see. They prosecuted him for manslaughter, which was the right call, but best case scenario, him should be free. But house arrest for 2 years kind of sucks. He's in custody, but at least at least he's in his house. That's what, like I said, I'm really glad that he didn't get he wasn't dealing with these like crusaders that wanted to actually make an example out of him. A lot of these people on the right had sheltered lives and never got taught respect the hard way. They really like running their mouths and cape for racists, but yeah, they're not worth it. Yeah. But Tagline, let me tell you, there's a bunch of these scumbags that are very violent and dangerous individuals. Just because they don't mistake somebody being a coward for being harmless. Sometimes the most dangerous person you can find and meet up with is a coward, because that's somebody that will do something real shady, real underhanded, just to get the upper hand on you, and you could lose your case in point. George Zimmerman, perfect case of a coward that was extremely dangerous. He orchestrated that whole thing and killed Trayvon Martin. Now, cowards are the most dangerous. They will not care about you. Yeah. And they'll be doing stuff intentionally. Yeah. But thank you everyone for coming out. Thank you everyone for coming out and watching the stream. Thank you for joining me away from the echo chambers. I'm out. So keep your head up, keep fighting, but never forget to look around and enjoy life.